What's up everyone? JJ Buckets here, yours truly. And if you've been here before, you already know. It is time to talk basketball. Now, for today's video, I thought it'd be fun since we're still kind of like at the All-Star break or like it's finishing up, before we get back into the games basically for the Raptors, I thought it'd be fun to do like a mid-season, I don't want to say awards, but like mid-season superlatives / awards for the team. And just basically I'm going to list off and look at a bunch of categories like say MVP of the team, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, so on and so forth, and just assess who fits each category. So without further ado, let's hop into the first one right now. So I'm going to kick things off with the biggest surprise of the Raptors season. Now this one's tough because to me, both the candidates for this, which are going to be Chris Boucher and Norman Powell, I think kind of obviously, I don't actually find either of those that surprising. I think I expected a fair jump from both of them in the context of which we've seen it. But I think to the majority of Raptors faithful, like those are the guys that you're looking at for a category like this. So I'm gonna lean Norman Powell, and let me tell you why. I obviously, and Lord knows this video comes up a lot apparently, but I obviously made the video where I thought Norman Powell should be a starter early on in the season, just based on getting a chance to play around the added playmaking in terms of like Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, Pascal, and the fact that he just does better, with those playmakers around him. And I made the case early on that he should be a starter and that he would be a good starter being moved into the starting lineup. And that's been the case, obviously, right? So in that sense, that's where I'm coming from, where I'm like, this isn't really that big of a surprise to me. But why I do think, he does deserve this category is how truly good he's been in the starting lineup. I kind of, for myself personally at least, anticipated him to be like an upper tier starter once being moved into the starting lineup. I honestly think you can make the case that Norman Powell has looked like a genuine star player playing with the starters. Now obviously there's hometown bias with that statement as a Raptors fan, but I truly think he has been that good. And because he has been that good, I think that's why he really is the easy choice for this category. The next one here, to counteract the one that just came previously, is the biggest disappointment of the season. And this one I think is probably the easiest one to hand out. It's Aron Baynes. Oof. I remember being excited about Aron Baynes in the offseason. He just came off like a very good campaign in Phoenix where he was a fantastic glue guy for them and really helped them out when they were missing DeAndre Ayton with the suspension they had early on in the season. And I thought that Baynes could bring a lot to the table for the Raptors in terms of his shooting, in terms of his screen setting, in terms of his defense. Boy, has he been bad though. I mean, he has his moments. He has his moments where he flashes competency, I guess is the word. But for the most part, he has been a massive letdown at that center position. He's obviously not even a starter anymore. They've elected to go small ball and play Pascal at the 5, which has produced better results for the Raptors. So I'm sorry, don't at me, Aron Baynes unofficial fan club, but truly, he has been the biggest disappointment of this season. The next category here, I think is an interesting one. I wanted to do a quote-unquote game of the year. So like just the most entertaining game to watch as a Raptors fan. And I'm gonna go with the January 24th game against the Indiana Pacers. I thought it was just massively fun to watch. You got a great version of OG that night. He played lights out, and just the game felt like a battle of wills where every time somebody pulled away, the game got close. The Pacers made runs to bring that game back, and it really ended up being a very, I guess, sweaty or suspenseful affair by the end of the game, and it was really fun to watch. And ultimately, when you had that battle of wills at the end of the game, the Raptors showed that they had a little more willpower for that night, and they ended up taking the contest. And I just thought it was a super fun game to watch, and just, I always love watching, you know, like OG ball out. I'm a huge OG stan, so it was such a fun game. It really was super competitive, and I think it's the easy candidate, to me at least, as the game of the year for the Raptors. The next one here is going to be the best newcomer to the Raptors, and I think this is a little bit tricky because obviously there hasn't been anybody that has stood out in terms of like just being a star or anything in the sorts. But there have been like some good acquisitions in terms of like nice bench pieces and role players. And I'm alluding to that because I'm gonna give this category to DeAndre Bembry. I think ever since DeAndre Bembry worked himself into the rotation, he's been good in pretty much all of the reasons that I was excited about him in the offseason. I think he just does a little bit of everything, and in particular defensively, I think he's very good. But he just does a little bit of everything for you that just really helps contribute to winning basketball games. And I thought there was so much about his game that Nick Nurse would come to love, and I think that really has been the case as the season has developed for Bembry and Nick Nurse. So I think as far as role players go, Bembry is just such a fun addition to the Raptors, and you know, with the fact that there's no obvious like superstar candidates or anything of the sort, Bembry gets the easy nod here in my opinion. The next category here is going to be the most improved player, and I'm honestly starting to feel like most of these categories are fairly easy to kind of pick, because this one's obviously going to be Chris Boucher, right? I think most Raptors fans expected to see a jump from Chris Boucher with the added playtime and kind of stepping into that Serge Ibaka role, as I kind of anticipated, you know, during this offseason. But maybe not to the extent that we've seen. I think Boucher has just truly elevated his game. I think he looks more controlled on defense in terms of like, you know, the fouls are still there at times, but like, it doesn't feel as obnoxious as last year, especially given the fact that he's playing way more minutes. So like that has been such a great improvement. Obviously, the thing that I feel flies under the radar, amazingly enough, maybe because people just take it for granted, but like he's just been so good shooting that three ball. Like, it's something that I feel like we're all aware of, that like Chris Boucher is a good three-point shooter, but the fact that he's still having this kind of sustained success this late into the season, well, like midway, what, you know what I mean. Like, it's genuinely impressive. It is really impressive that he has sustained that kind of shooting, that kind of production. I think defensively, he's just been so fun to watch as a player. I just honestly, this is an easy pick. This is absolutely an easy pick, but like Boucher really has been the most improved player on the Raptors this season. And I'm going to present the last two together because the two categories are going to go to the same player, and I think talking about, you know, one category really helps lead into the other one. Defensive Player of the Year and MVP are obviously going to get presented together here. Those are the two categories I'm talking about. And if you've watched any kind of like extended period or like of Raptors games, you'll know that the team MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year are both going to go to Fred VanVleet. Let's start with the defensive aspect first, because obviously that contributes to why he's the MVP. But as far as the Defensive Player of the Year thing goes, holy hell has Fred been absolutely just fun and just joy to watch on the defensive end. I feel like, first of all, like he just has so many fun highlights of him just absolutely ripping the ball from players. Off the top of my head, I could think of Malcolm Brogdon and Giannis that have been victims to this, and it has just been like, it looks so fun just seeing this 6-foot point guard just absolutely manhandling the ball out of these bigger players, right? And not only that, like his individual defense has been great. He has absolutely flustered some really talented offensive players. Obviously, the main example I can think of is Steph Curry in the Golden State game. Fred gave him the business all night, and it was a joy to watch. It was an absolute joy to watch. On top of which, Fred VanVleet is averaging nearly a block a game as a 6-foot point guard. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. He has been absolutely phenomenal on that end. And I think you can give like an honorable mention or a shout to somebody like OG here as well. But I think at the end of the day, especially because he's played more games than OG, Fred gets the category here. And obviously team MVP, again, I think it's Fred. I think it's fairly obvious. I think Fred VanVleet, if there was a Raptor that had an all-star case this season, it was Fred. I don't think Pascal had it. I don't think Kyle Lowry had it. Obviously, I don't think Norman Powell, anybody else really had it on the team. I think Fred would have been the closest too. Do I think he was snubbed from the All-Star game? No, because I think everybody in that All-Star game that made it truly did deserve to make it over Fred, with all due respect. But that being said, he's still been just the obvious best player of this team for the defensive contributions, for what he's done offensively. He is a little inconsistent maybe in terms of his scoring, where like one night he'll come out and he'll shoot like 10 of 13 and the next night he'll come out and he'll shoot like 3 of 18. And that can be a little frustrating, but for the most part, like, he's given this team great defense, very good playmaking, good scoring as well. I think Fred easily takes the nod as just the most consistent, just driving force for the Raptors' success that they've had this season. That does it for me today. Do you folks disagree with any of, the people I've chosen for these categories? If you do, comment below. Let me know which categories you disagree with and who you think really should have taken that category. Other than that, you know the drill. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. It goes a long way. It really does, to helping the channel grow, and it's just something that's greatly appreciated every time I see it. It puts a big smile on my face, and hey, I like to be smiling, so like, absolutely do that good stuff for me if you can. Other than that, folks, that more or less does it for me today, and I am out of here.